Who is the greatest basketball player of all time? Is it 15-year veteran of the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, 6 times NBA champion, 6-time NBA Finals MVP, 5 times NBA All-Star player, 3 times NBA All-Star MVP? Or is it LeBron Raymond James Sr., currently of the Lakers, but also formerly of Cleveland and Miami, 3 times NBA champion, 3 times NBA Finals MVP, 16 times NBA All-Star player, and 3 times NBA All-Star MVP? If you want to know the answer to that question, you should listen to the rest of this podcast. Hey Queens! Yeah, you know who you are. God, come on. Go ahead and put that crown on your head. Now tilt a little to the left. Now a little to the right. Perfect. Now let's get to work. Because we know you got big goals. And you got big dreams and not afraid to let them know. Why? Because you step into your purpose. You speak out on your faith. And you shift up in your journey. Because you a boss. Welcome to the podcast, Drop the Expiring Act with your host, Veli of QueenBayGoals.com, reminding you that you are a queen before anything else. It's your life and your goals. Make it royal. All right, y'all. Go ahead and work that crown. All right. So we are going to get straight into the podcast because I know there is a bit of a debate as of who is the greatest basketball player of all time. Is it Michael Jordan or is it LeBron James? What do you think? Write a comment and wherever you're listening to this podcast, leave a comment and let me know who you think the greatest basketball player of all time is. But this is your host, Veli, and we are going to get into this week's podcast, which is Act Like Michael Jordan and Think Like LeBron James. Now, like I said, when we do the podcasts that are Act Like one person and Think Like another, I'm not saying one person is better than the next. But I know, especially for this one, you guys probably have your opinions on who is the greatest of all times in basketball. But we're not here to talk about basketball because this is our Act Like, Think Like series. And we are here to talk about the actions and the mindsets that you should follow to start dropping your aspiring act and becoming the person that you want to be, going after the things that you want in your life. Going after those ambitious goals that we have only dreamed of, right? So what are the actions and the mindsets that you need to start exhibiting to drop your aspiring act? So in this episode, we're talking about Act Like Michael Jordan and Think Like LeBron James. So let's get into the act. So when we're talking about Act Like Michael Jordan, who does not know the name Michael Jordan? Like, if you don't know the name Michael Jordan, you need to get up from under that rock. Now, I have been watching recently, and it's like perfect timing, right? Divine timing. The Last Dance on ESPN. It's a docu-series of the life of Michael Jordan in basketball from the time that he started in the league until he retired. Right now, I'm on episode 5 because I had not anticipated watching this to do this episode because this episode was already planned. But it's perfect timing now that I'm watching the episode. I'm so getting into basketball again. Like, I used to watch basketball when MJ played and then I kind of stopped. When I got in high school, I haven't really watched it as much. But now watching this series is like, whew. I love the game. So I'm thinking about getting into it again. I don't know. We'll see. But we're talking about Act Like Michael Jordan. So let me get off of basketball and into what we're supposed to be talking about. So when I say Act Like Michael Jordan, for those of you who know who Michael Jordan is, and if you don't, I don't know what rock you're living under, but he is a beast when it comes to the game of basketball. If you've watched this man play, oh my gosh, he is a beast at basketball. So when I say act like Michael Jordan, that's what I want you to do. I want you to be a beast at whatever it is that you are going after. So if you are going after starting your own business, I want you to be a beast at bringing that business out. Be a beast at your marketing. Be a beast at, building your team. Be a beast at putting your systems in place. Make sure that you have the whole thing unlocked. One thing you have to do when you are going after your dreams is to keep learning. There is no limit to the amount of things that you can learn and put into place in your business. Don't ever think that you come to a point in your business where, okay, this is it. This is all that there is to business. There is always something to learn. There is always somewhere you can grow. There's always somewhere that you can improve. So if you mastered one skill, if you master marketing, right? If you master social media, if you master team management, if you master project management, there is still something out there that you can master for your business. So if you are going after creating a business, master that skill, master the business, master that field. If you are going to go out there and write your own book, master the art of writing, master your craft. Practice writing your novel, practice writing poetry, practice writing different characters, practice how you do the character development, practice how you introduce the characters to your audience, practice how you tell the story, right? Because you don't tell the story the same way every time. Sometimes, you jump right into the meat of the story and then you build the backstory and you tell them, how you got there. Sometimes you start very slow in the story and then you build up to that climactic point in the story. The point of this all is to say, master whatever your craft is. Don't ever think that you have mastered a craft completely and there's not anything new to learn. Be a beast at whatever it is that you are planning to do. Build your business, write your book, go after your dreams. Master whatever it is that you're trying to build in your life when you are getting ready to drop your aspiring act. Now we are going to get into Mr. LeBron James. So if you don't know who that is, then something is still wrong with you, because most people know him from the Cleveland Cavaliers, but right now he is playing for the Lakers. 3 times NBA champion. But when you hear the name LeBron James, what is it that you think of? Because a lot of people think of basketball, but outside of basketball, he is known for so much more than just basketball. He is known for his philanthropy, right? He is known for being a businessman. He is known for opening that school in Ohio for underprivileged kids. And then, paying for the scholarships for those kids to go to the University of Akron, I think. So even there, even beyond just building that school for them to go, he's making sure that they have a pathway to go from, the school to college, making sure that they get their education, like what we were just talking about. When I say act like Michael Jordan, being a beast at your craft, well, he is paying for these students to go out there and learn whatever it is that they want to learn in primary school and when they get to college. So he's helping them. He is breaking the barriers. He's making sure that they have the advantage, that they can get to the education that not a lot of people can get to, which I admire about him, and which is one thing that LeBron James for. You know him outside of basketball. So when I'm saying to think like LeBron James, that's what I'm saying. To think beyond just whatever it is that your craft is. Think beyond whatever that one thing is that you're doing, because there's so much more to the world than just being one thing. Like when they ask kids when you're growing up, what do you want to be when you grow up? Whoever said that you had to choose just one thing? You should not have to pick one answer, right? Like I do so many different things. I do this podcast, I do YouTube, I have my websites for the different businesses that I have. Nobody should have to choose to do one thing. Like the other brands I've discussed before, when I said think like Oprah and think like Stephen King, you know them for so much more than one thing. And that's the same thing when it comes to LeBron James. You know him for so much more than one thing. And you know what I love? I love his response when the reporter told him, shut up and dribble, right? I forgot who it was that told him to shut up and dribble. And his response was, I am more than an athlete. You can be more than just one thing. You can be known for more than just one thing. So when you're getting into your craft, when you're getting into running your business, when you're getting into writing your book, when you're getting into putting yourself out there in the world, just remember that you don't have to be just that one thing. You can be more than that. So when you're developing yourself, make sure that you develop in different areas and you don't just have to focus on one thing. And like I said with the Michael Jordan, The Last Dance coming at this time, like I did not know that this was a documentary that was coming up. I had already written the title of this podcast. But just like the Last Dance coming up, for me to have some context around Michael Jordan, I also saw the commercial for LeBron James, and I think it was so funny. It's like divine timing, right? But so we're gonna wrap up the Think Like LeBron James with the quote that he says in the commercial, which is, "The mind is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. And while the greats master the body, the greatest master the mind." Right? How could he have known that I would have need him saying that so that I can say think like LeBron James, and he's talking about mindsets. So to wrap up this episode, we are talking about act like Michael Jordan and think like LeBron James. Act like a beast in whatever it is your craft is, whatever it is that you're choosing to do. Run your business, write your book, go out there and be an artist of your life. And if you are getting ready to change your mindset to be whatever it is that you want to be, don't think that you have to choose just one thing. Build your brand, be as many things that you want to be, and don't just become known for just one thing. So this is actually wrapping up the Act Like, Think Like series. Next week's episode is going to be a summary of all the series. So if you have not listened to the previous podcast, next week is going to summarize all of the actions and mindsets that we've talked about in this Act Like, Think Like series. And then I'll explain more of how the rest of the series is going to go for the rest of the podcast. So more episodes are coming in June and July. Every Wednesday, a new podcast drops. So next week, I'm going to talk about what's coming after the Act Like, Think Like series. And then I need you to comment whether or not you like the Act Like, Think Like series. So when we start thinking about season 2, we'll think about whether or not we're going to start with a series like this again, or maybe come up with a new series. So make sure you leave a comment wherever you are listening to the podcast. And hold up. I said I was going to say who is the greatest basketball player of all time. So I'm a little biased, so I'm going to say Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all times. But here's why I'm biased, right? Because I grew up watching basketball in the 80s and the 90s as a young child, and I stopped watching basketball after that. So I'm not as into the game as I used to be. But if you ask like certain people, depending on the age that they are, they're going to say Michael Jordan, right? But a lot younger people will say LeBron James. And that's because that's who they grew up watching. So it depends on who you grew up watching. So I grew up watching Michael Jordan. So I'm going to say the greatest player of all time is Michael Jordan. That answer may very well change over the years. I don't know. But for right now, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. You have been listening to another episode of Drop the Aspiring Act. If you're looking for more information on this podcast and other episodes, please visit queenbaegoals.com. That's QueenBaeGoals.com. All right, y'all. I'll see you in the next podcast.